Welcome, everybody. We are back. Today, it will be a solo show. Steve is out. Steve has bronchitis. Wish Steve well. He it'll be a much different show today because it'll just be me talking over the games. Since it will just be me talking over the games, we're gonna try a little bit different approach as well. We will see how that works out. I've been kind of into the fourth quarter contest, and I'm going to kind of make it a look forward for like rest of season, like what to look for out of the games, more so for rest of season than anything else. Uh, so we've all watched the games. We all know mostly what happened. If there's injury news updates while I'm on, let me know. I don't check anything while I'm live, so that would be super helpful for the chat if you don't mind. So I'm still setting up. I think we are good though. Yeah, so how was everybody doing? And welcome, Lutz and Scott. Thanks for popping in. We're going to go ahead and get right to it. So the New York Jets play the New England Patriots on Thursday night, and it was everything we thought it would be. The New York Jets lost 14-27. Drake May and the hold on. Why is that? I had the wrong one up. Why is this? Hold on. Did it really? We're going to start over here in a second. Why did it do that? Off to a good start. You're all welcome. So and then it brought the same one up 4 times for some reason instead of giving me the different games that I'd put up. All right, so we are actually good to go now. So the New York Jets 14, the New England Patriots 27. It was an absolute slaughter. We kind of expected it. Justin Fields only took 2 sacks for 11 yards. That's a positive change. But even in this game afterwards, he's expecting to be benched. I don't know if that's definitely going to happen. I haven't heard officially yet. It sounds pretty likely. The moral of this story, though, is Travion Henderson actually gets the workload, actually absolutely smashes, gives this offense a different element for things. Like Ramondre is a good player, but he doesn't have the explosion that Travion does. That was proven here in the receiving game and in the run game. It wasn't necessarily easy against the Jets defense, which I thought it would be. I thought he would completely smash with them sending out Quentin Williams and all that, but he did not. Like yards per carry wise, but the Patriots offensive line isn't like elite either. But he fought through some tough yardage stuff, and I think that is actually more bullish than anything else that could have happened because that means to me that there's a better chance that he's going to assume some of the goal line role when Ramondre comes back. I think Travion is absolutely wheels up from here on out. I hope I'm right. I think we all hope I'm right. Steph Diggs, 11 targets, 9 receptions, 105 yards. Just he is absolutely like, and he's been at 70% routes every week. Mac Hollins is always ahead of him in routes. And he's always at 70%, but he absolutely destroys man. So that is awesome. Brees Hall, like they didn't even try to pass the ball to him really. I don't. The Jets offense as a whole, though, right? Like whenever they stopped doing the option after the first drive in each half, they couldn't move the ball hardly at all. Not going to trust the guy who let Deion Lewis take touches from Derrick Henry. I get that too. Um, uh, that's awesome, Rick. I did not advance my one team. I didn't expect to. I only did 9 of them, so we're going to do a lot more of the fourth quarter, and we're going to hopefully get a couple of those. Eagles got like 11. Eagles is smashing these quarter contests. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a like Travion 80% snap share kind of situation, but I do think it could be 60-40 kind of thing. I just that's what I believe. But we'll see. We'll see what happens whenever like whenever it gets there. This wasn't really that big of it like a test, and upcoming they have the Bengals. So I hope that Ramondre misses one more week. I would love to see Travion get the backfield against the Bengals this week. I've already made a bet on that. And the only dog bowl I've done, we did that. So the one thing to note, in my opinion, Adonai Mitchell, six targets, 1 reception. He had like 3 drops and 2 uncatchable balls. But those 3 drops were very, very easy catches. The thing is, he's getting open. Like, he might not be able to catch the ball. He might drop the ball at the goal line. But the one thing he can do is get open. And if he can continually get open, like, as people, as they say, drops aren't sticky. So I think he's worth a flyer, like as a pickup in a deep league or in one of the last rounds in like the fourth quarter contest. Like him and John Mechie. John Mechie in the second half absolutely cooked. I believe all 3 of his catches were in the second half. 45 yards, 22 yards on a touchdown. I believe that was the touchdown. And that was it wasn't Hulk, it was somebody called it. It might have been Lutz. No, it was Dark Side, I think. Dark Side was saying to bet Mechie overs in the second half, and he came out there and absolutely cooked. And Adonai got more targets and dropped more balls. I think that Wilson, there's no reason for him to rush him back. They do say that he may come back at the end of the year, but I'm going to say that Adonai Mitchell and John Mechie are worth flyers in the last round of that contest. But other than those things, I did not see a whole lot to really talk about in that game. It was pretty lopsided and not a whole lot. Like Drake May actually wasn't absolutely elite at throwing the ball deep. Finally, like that's the first time he hasn't been. And I mean, he was still really good. He was still like top of the league. He just wasn't at an insane clip, which he's been throughout the whole year. So for the second game, we have the Washington Commanders and the Miami Dolphins. They played in, I believe it was Spain or it was Madrid, right? Yeah, it was Real Madrid is where they played. This game kind of also went as expected. The Commanders give up gigantic chunks all the time, right? Like they just give up big play after big play after big play. And the Dolphins have multiple, like HN is a big play machine. Waddle is a big play machine. Washington can get big plays. Like the both tight ends got a 14-yarder. Malik got an 18-yarder. Waddle got a 31-yarder. Achane got a 22-yarder and a 23-yarder. Ollie Gordon had a 20-yard rush. Like it was pretty wild watching this game. Like, and it was mostly on the ground. Like they had 169 yards rushing. 100, like Tua only had 171. The score was only 13-16 though. Like the Dolphins couldn't punch it in for some reason. They could not get touchdowns. And the only touchdown of the game was actually Ollie Gordon. I that part, like, I don't understand how they couldn't get it in the end zone. Tua didn't even throw an interception this game. But like he didn't need to. And the Commanders, I believe their score came at the very end of the game. Let's see. I'm trying to learn how to read these a little better. So no, it came at the in the middle of the game. Where's the Yeah, but overall, like Miami's defense is better than people think. Like that's the takeaway from this game. I know it's the Commanders. I know they don't have Jaden Daniels. Mariota is a fine backup, not a great backup. But over the last several weeks, the Dolphins have actually put together a really good defense. Like their defensive front never should have been as bad as it was, and they're actually playing like they should have initially. What's up, Pepper Tony? And yeah, I think going forward, the Miami Rush defense isn't necessarily a target. Kind of mentioned this last week. I think this week didn't necessarily completely disprove that because C-Rod did still have 15 attempts for 79 yards for an average of 5.3 yards a carry. But they did tighten up in the red zone when it mattered. The show feels a lot different today. Just reading over stats, no back and forth for sure. Things to take away for like fourth quarter and rest of the season, though. Chris Rodriguez, he got a bunch. Like, let's go look at the usage real quick. So Chris Rodriguez, 45%, JCM, 27%. It's pretty obvious if the Commanders get behind, they're going to go to Chris Rodriguez and McNichols a lot more than JCM. We don't know if they get ahead if they're going to still use C-Rod or not. I assume that they probably will. Malik Washington on the Dolphin side had 50% routes or 50% snaps, and they ran Achane 80% and Gordon 40%. So 20% of the time they had both of them out there. That is something to note. Dulcich up to 54%. Actually, that's down a little from the week before. So they're basically just using a lot of the two wide receiver. Are they only using one? So Waddle had 84%. Malik had 50%. Cedric Wilson and Hakine both had 30%. So they're mostly using two wide receiver sets and using Waddle most of the time, and then Washington half the time, and then splitting the other two. But yeah, the biggest takeaway is Malik Washington is the number 2 there for sure. I think we kind of already knew that, but Chris Rodriguez going forward is the guy in my opinion. And Deebo Samuel continues to get points in garbage time every week. It's fantastic to watch if you have any Deebo Samuel. I, however, didn't have bags of Deebo Samuel. So it has not been great to watch. But I still love Debo. Debo's an awesome player. So hopefully it continues. Like I don't mind it. Um, it's just fun to watch him play. Hopefully, and it is kind of worrisome on the Commander side that they couldn't move the ball against the Dolphins secondary though. Like I understand that the Dolphins run defense has gotten better. It's not elite by any means, but it's gotten a lot better. But not being able to pass against them, that is a big problem. But if I were the Commanders, I wouldn't let Jaden Daniels come back. I don't know what the rest of you think, but I don't see a reason in letting him come back for a game or two to try to get hurt again for next season. He's an elite player. Absolutely no reason to risk it. I assume Steve would feel the same way, but we will talk about that next week, I'm sure. All right, on to the next game. We got the Carolina Panthers going into Atlanta, winning in overtime. Was it overtime actually? It was not. It was regulation. Yeah. But it basically it was almost overtime, right? Like the game came down to the final plays. I don't know why I was thinking of overtime, but the Falcons came out and absolutely cooked in the first half. Bijan Robinson, they quiet everybody, give him goal line carries. What's up, Daddy? And then they gave him another one. Later, Drake London absolutely dominated this game. The first half statistics were very one-sided, if I remember right. Where are they? It is. So right here, first half statistics. Atlanta had 94 yards rushing and 163 yards passing. And that's 100 or 250 yards total offense. Drake London had 5 targets, 5 receptions, 108 yards in the first half. And Bijan Robinson, 16 carries for 93 yards and 2 touchdowns. It was pretty much all them. Those two players had 200 yards between them. Just with those two superstars. Mooney started seeing a little bit more. He had four targets, 3 receptions for 34 yards in that first half as well. The other big thing is that the Falcons' run D that was 4th worst in the league going into the week sold everything to stop it. And Dowdle had 5 attempts for 13 yards in the first half. But that allowed Tet McMillan to come out and play. He 7 targets, 4 receptions, 72 yards, and a touchdown all in the first half. It was OT. Okay. It didn't say OT on the because Cousins threw the interception in the overtime, right? Yeah. Okay. So I wasn't crazy. Up top, I thought it said overtime on it whenever it was up top on the NFL plays. So Rick here say, what do you think about Atlanta's receivers with Cousins going forward? I can't figure the team out. We'll get into that here at the end. So in the first half, Bryce Young, 130 yards, taking 2 sacks for 16 yards and a touchdown, 15 attempts, 11 completions. But he actually looked really good. Like, yes, he took the sacks. So the one thing I noticed about this game, and I hope that this continues, being a guy who liked Bryce Young going into the year, they moved Bryce Young out of the pocket a little bit. And they also, almost all of the throws that he had that were complete, the offensive, he threw it into the area that they opened up a hole. So, he had a clear vision lane he is a shorter guy, but if you go back and you watch most of those throws, they were either really, really deep downfield, or if they were short, it was almost blocked like it was a run play. So he had a lane for vision. And whatever it was, like, I don't know if it just happened to look that way, if that was designed or what, but it absolutely helped out because Bryce Young had easily the best game of his career. And that absolutely continued in the second half because, as we all know, Bryce Young ended at 448 yards, 3 touchdowns, 45 attempts, 31 completions. McMillan, 8 receptions for 131 yards, 2 touchdowns. Leggett, 83 yards and a touchdown. Coker, 4 receptions for 52 yards. Like Tommy Tremble that's what Tommy Tremble just absolutely ran through a guy on Atlanta to then get a 54-yarder at the end, like in overtime after the Cousins interception. Like, it was an awesome game. And going into the game, there was the narrative of Atlanta. So Carolina is one of the worst teams in the league on the road. Like, they just do not show up on the road, just like Cleveland. And Atlanta was coming back from overseas and they didn't take their bye week. And both of those are like very, very negative, like in chances to win based on previous what the previous teams have done and look like, right? So it was which one is worse, and apparently it's the and I don't think I actually think Carolina played really well on the road, and I think Atlanta played good after the bye week. The thing is, like, at halftime, the Panthers seemed to adjust really well, and they stopped the passing offense of Penix, and then Penix at the end of the third quarter ended up getting hurt. He's going to be missing some time. Kirk Cousins went in. He looked just like he did last year. He has zero mobility. If he's given a pocket, he could probably throw the ball pretty well. As we've seen, it was 4 targets and 3 receptions for Darnell Mooney at halftime, and it was 7 targets, 3 receptions for the game with Cousins in the second. I look for Mooney to get a lot more targets with Kirk Cousins. Almost all of Mooney's production, which 992 yards from last year, almost all of that came with Kirk Cousins last year. Kirk Cousins and Darnell Mooney kind of had the little mind meld going on. I think that it's bad for Kyle Pitts. I think it's good for Darnell Mooney. And I think Drake London's playing at a level that it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. If he's healthy, he's fine. Now, with that being said, Mooney I think he had 2 drops from Cousins, but they were drops. They were kind of like, one of them was thrown high when he would it was a ball that should have been placed low, and Cousins threw it high, and Mooney's been playing injured. I don't think he really wanted to go up and get absolutely laid out. You could see it every time he got hit in the shoulder that there's definitely something wrong. Because every time he got tackled, you could tell he was in massive pain. So as far as Mooney, I think he should see an uptick based on Cousins. I'm not going to promise that it is a thing that happens. Hopefully, they just rely on Bijan, right? Another thing that happened here is Algier didn't vulture all the goal line touchdowns. So he did get one. But Algier, 2 receptions, 4 yards, 10 yards, 1 touchdown. He's going to get a touchdown like almost every game. I do think they're going to start letting Bijan do more the rest of the season, though. That's just a feel for me. And I would be curious to see if Bryce Young, are they going to keep calling the pass plays like they did this past week? let him move around a little before he throws the ball, block in a manner that leaves him an opening to see downfield, and actually let him throw in that direction. Like it felt like, I mean, if I seen that, I'm going to assume opposing defensive coordinator seen that, and they're going to tell their safeties to, hey, if there's an opening that pops out, you slide to that side because try to take away the first reads, because it kind of felt like it was it was like a first read thing as well. Yeah, they basically sold out to stop Rico. Watch you Matic take naked golf in playoff baseball. Nice. I'm not gonna do any of the playoff baseball as long as the fourth quarter stuff's still up. And when the fourth quarter stuff's up, I think I'm gonna do or done. I think I'll just do more like the BR stuff. And if I do, haha, if I do some playoff baseball, it will most likely be over on drafters where it's total points and it's not just a complete luck box into trying to get a team to the finals. It's total points. So McConkey's 38 points he had or whatever. Yeah, 69%. Nice. Yeah, I expect the fourth quarter to be filled like next Monday. I do think we'll get a day next week to do some. But it's going up like it went up like 6% a day or something. So it might not. Yeah, and the BR slate looks awesome this week as well. The problem is that, and I will probably do more. I was kind of on Revolt last week because they changed a bunch of the contests, but this week we got the Engage 8 back, so I'll max the Engage 8. I'll max the hurry up, and we'll see what else I do. No, we are doing the recap show. Afterwards, I'll probably be doing them all night, but we're just kind of going through all the games and doing that. But anyway, yeah, my take is Darnell Mooney with Kirk Cousins is probably a bump up. I wouldn't bump him way up, but I think he goes at like 160 or something, 140, 150. Like, I think you like move him up 2 or 3 spots in ADP and just kind of take him when he's there if it makes sense. If you need a receiver, I don't think it's a stand to make, but I do think that Kirk Cousins, like, if you fade it, considering that Kirk Cousins fed him last year, I'm not going to fade that. I'm going to assume that Mooney gets fed a little more with Cousins in the lineup. On to the next game. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to Buffalo, and they got absolutely like it. I know the score looks close, but the game wasn't really that close. The Buffalo Bills pretty much dominated this game. Tampa Bay 32, Buffalo 44. A lot of things were proven that were known to be true happened in this game. Buffalo can't stop anybody on the run. We've known that. Like, I feel like an idiot because I didn't prioritize. Like, I took some Sean Tucker in the 12 mans, but I didn't really make it a point to find him in DFS on DraftKings. But the matchup just said it's a smash spot for one of those two. And it didn't feel like it felt like Rachaad White was losing so much steam that it had to be Sean Tucker if there's anybody. So, and then like the Bucks are a pass funnel. So Josh Allen made a ton of sense. And in hindsight, it all made total sense that like the Josh Allen, Sean Tucker was the way to go in DFS. Like the opposing sides, and to not play anything else. Like I already had said that, like because my fourth quarter or third quarter team had Egbuka on it, I said I didn't like the matchup because the Bills are good against, like the Bills are so bad against the run that everybody just passes against, or nobody passes against them. Kirk Cousins, no ADP with Mooney at 35.9. I mean, I'm not gonna not gonna be taking Mooney in the weeklies, I don't think. Hey, what's up? Watching Allen curb stomp my two opponents this week in my home leagues. Oh, are you in one of those leagues that you play against, like you have two matchups a week? I've been in one of those. They're actually pretty fun. So aside from the obvious happening that nobody really even pointed out, like it's one of those hindsight situations. Like why did we not see this? A few people did see that, and I even shouted it out. I shouted it out on the stream of Candyman last week. I'm like, Sean Tucker's in a really good spot, and it's a clean swap from Bucky if Bucky doesn't play. And he's like, I don't know. I don't know if we ended up getting there. It didn't matter because my whole portfolio was basically Josh Jacobs. I made a Josh Jacobs stand, and he got hurt, and then that spot smashed. Feels bad, but he might not have outscored Bijan anyway, so I don't really think it mattered in the end. But on the Bills side, Keon Coleman missed a practice or a meeting or something. He got benched. They run out Tyrell Shavers. They signed Gabe Davis on 3 days. He plays. And McCole Hardman doing McCole Hardman things. He probably won't be back. As a Chiefs fan, I know McCole Hardman. He is awesome for 1 or 2 plays a game, maybe. But Tyrell Shavers played the Keon Coleman role way better than Keon Coleman has all year. On the Ty Johnson touchdown, Tyrell Shavers was absolutely like he was blocking the hell out of that guy on the sideline. Tyrell Shavers is a player that in the fourth quarter contest I absolutely want to get shares of. I personally removed Keon, or I moved Keon down like 40 spots. I don't, and if he's on my board, I probably still don't take him. I don't know what, like I just don't want any. I think that with as well as the team played on offense as a whole, with Keon not being there, I kind of think that they may try it again. They got James Cook in the passing game as well. He got going. Like he didn't do a whole lot on the ground, which was kind of expected, but he got 66 yards and a touchdown in the air. Gave up hope on 18th round Tucker, but he finally did it. Yeah. He is not better on special teams. Like I refuse to believe that. He's really good at going backwards and fumbling the ball. If you think that's being good at special teams, then yes, he's great. He the only guy I know that's better than him would be Sky Moore. And you know, like if that's what you're looking for. But yeah, like Baker, not a great game, not a bad game. He just barely missed Egbuka on 2 touchdowns. But for the most part, the Bills against the pass are really good. The game started off kind of looked like the Bucs might have a pretty good chance because Josh Allen shot putted the ball straight to a linebacker at like the 8-yard line. That was the first Sean Tucker touchdown. And other than that, like Sean Tucker broke a couple bigger plays, but all in all, they really couldn't move the ball, like except for a couple explosive runs. Like yes, Rashad had a bunch of 5 yard runs. Baker had a couple of decent runs, and Tucker had two pretty big runs. But like the Bills, it's got like the Bills better not run into the Colts in the playoffs. Is all I'm going to say. The Bills have to hope another team plays the Colts and beats them in the playoffs. That's my opinion. We'll see if that's correct or not. I mean, we may not see if that's correct, but I think if the Bills have to play the Colts, I think it's a pretty bad matchup there. And the Buccaneers, not really a whole lot to take away from the game, other than like when Bucky comes back, does Sean Tucker assume a little bit more of a role? Does Rachaad White lose a bunch of his role? What do we think is going to happen there? I kind of think Rachaad White will keep his role that he has in the passing game, but he won't come in on some of the other plays. Like I think it'll be like 60% Bucky, 20% or like 25% White and like 15% Tucker or something. Because they weren't using Tucker at all. I think they will use Tucker some. And I think that's going to absolutely kill Rachaad White's value in fantasy when Bucky comes back. So that's where I'm at with it. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I view it. Keon Coleman was my last click in an absolute giga pick 6 team. Nice. I only did one pick 6, and I did not do very good in it. Coaches are really sticky with draft capital to their own detriment. Yeah, you are you are correct. And maybe that happens. Maybe that's what happens here is that they just for no reason stick with him. Like I would think that you see that your team has responded positively without this player, and you played better team football without this player. Like I would think that maybe they would be smart enough to be like, maybe we try it again and see if this actually mattered or not. But what do I know? I'm just a guy behind with a headset talking to people who are probably also angry at their teams. So, but yeah, that's what I've seen with this. This game. Another note: Khalil Shakir only 3 targets and got negative yards. He got 1 reception, negative yards in this game. Josh Allen was throwing the ball deep. And yeah, I mean, they're absolutely Josh Allen. Like everybody's Josh Allen merchant in this game, right? No, they do. They do. We've seen recently some GMs not and coaches be able to get off of players pretty quick. Like Jonathan Mingo, they're like, yeah, we were wrong, right? We were really wrong. The Jermaine Burton stuff is like, nah, I mean, it was a 4th round pick, but same kind of thing. And then who was the guy in New England last year everybody liked? Their 4th round pick. They basically like their 2nd round pick even too, right? Like Jalen Polk. They after the 1 year, they're like, no, we were wrong, you know. So some of the GMs and coaches have been able to do that, but with the Patriots, right? Like it's a new coaching staff, so it made it a little easier. So with that situation and Keon, it is the coaching staff and GM that brought him in. So maybe. Uh, but anyway, we're going to move on to the Los Angeles Chargers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Chargers go to Jacksonville and they go all the way from the West Coast to the East Coast and lose 6-35. Now, the game was reasonably close at halftime. What was it at halftime? It was because first half summary, Chargers 6. It was 6-14. And like Herbert had rushed for 21 yards. He hadn't been like completely destroyed. We had our Tootin explosion start up toot as his touchdown dances. Gotta love that. But Kamani Vidal couldn't do anything. This offensive line got absolutely decimated, and it just got worse as the game went on. Like at halftime, the Jaguars definitely figured out a way to completely destroy the offensive line. And in the second half, the Chargers didn't really have anything. There was a play where the Jaguars were up 21-6. Ladd McConkey was wide open with nobody around him. And Herbert sailed the ball by 10 yards for an interception. And the Jaguars went down and scored on that. And then, like, the next drive, they stalled out. And the next drive, Harbaugh's just like, no reason to get Herbert hurt, and pulled him. So we seen Trey Lance early fourth quarter, basically. I don't remember the exact time, but it's pretty early fourth quarter. Tootin went out of the game with an injury. It was a pretty even workload, by the way. Tootin 15 carries, ETN 19 carries, both 74-ish yards, both a touchdown. ETN ended up with 2. Trevor Lawrence also had a rushing touchdown, and Tim Patrick got a touchdown as well. So Parker Washington didn't do very much, but Jacoby Myers absolutely looks comfortable in this offense now. Jacoby Myers is a buy going forward. Like, if you're at the trade deadline in a league, because I think this is usually the last week of trades in most leagues, if the Jacoby Myers guy, like if you're really hurting a wide receiver, like Jacoby Myers is probably an extremely buy low right now. If you're a contending team and like you have a bunch of stars, but your wide receiver 2 is really bad, or you're like if you start 3 wide receivers, like Jacoby Myers is probably a guy worthwhile of looking at. For fourth quarter stuff, I think he's very live. I moved him up. I think he's going at like pick 95, 96 right now. And I actually moved him pretty close to that. Let me look and see where I have him. I was working on my rankings earlier. I got him at 104 right now. I'm trying, like I'm almost done doing the Peppertoni thing with my rankings. Hopefully it works where you number everything and then resort. Maybe I'll be able to give them out if people want them, just to kind of see what I think. I will say I removed a bunch of players. Like I removed Garrett Wilson and MHJ until further notice. And like I'm just curious that the abdominal surgery or the surgery in the stomach, right? Like to remove the appendix. Like I kind of think that that's a big deal, and it's going to take a while to recover. So I have taken him once, but the reason I've only taken him once is because of that. They spent a second round. He's a young player, Palmer Hardman. Samuel or nothing. Yeah. I mean, he will be back, but like Shavers absolutely outplayed him. Yeah, well, the Bills, like, I yeah, I think the Bills played. It's not that the Bill like the Bucks didn't play very in that game for the most part. So nobody on the Charger side got there. They just that offensive line like they traded for Trevor Penning to start because Alt was out. He'd lost his job at New Orleans, a former first round pick. And after 3 quarters, the Chargers actually pulled him. Like they'd seen enough after 3 quarters. After just trading for him, they're like, no, we can't do anything with you out there. So there is that. I have moved Bayshaw Tootin way, way up in my rankings. I've moved him to. I thought I moved him up enough, but apparently I have him under by like 3 picks. The one thing I do know is that Trevor Lawrence loves targeting tight ends, and Britton Strange is on the horizon. For fourth quarter, Britton Strange is like one of my favorite picks right now. There wasn't like this game was just a very, very ugly game, and I kind of covered everything that I wish to cover on it. So the next game is Chicago at Minnesota. Chicago goes into Minnesota and beats them in a really, really good game, 19-17. Hold on, what did I just do? 1 second. 46 minutes and 40 seconds on the timestamp. Got it. All right. So the Bears were kind of ahead the entire game. And then at the very end, JJ McCarthy had a single drive, just like the first meeting. McCarthy was bad the whole game. And he drives them down there and gets them to go ahead. And then the Vikings allow like a 50-yard kickoff return to basically lose the game on a field goal at the end. The couple things to note here: DeAndre Swift assumed his role back, 21 attempts, 90 yards. Monungai, 12 attempts, 23 yards. They are bringing in Monungai for short yarded situations, so I do think this is a Charbonnet Walker thing going to happen the rest of the season. Cole Kmet was the number one receiver for the Bears. Yeah, Devin Duvernay. Yeah, he's a fun returner. He's always been a fun returner. Eric, like, so my takeaways on the JJ McCarthy stuff. He is wildly inaccurate, and like he had a wide open Addison twice and just completely missed him. But then, like when he did get the ball right on Addison, like there was an absolute strike that he threw that Addison just purely dropped. That was probably a house call early in the game as well. And I didn't notice this until I heard it later, but it totally makes sense. He basically just doesn't know how to not throw the ball as hard as he can, which is the Anthony Richardson problem, right? Like both of those things are the Anthony Richardson problem. You're inaccurate and you throw the ball as hard as you can every time. Those are not good combinations, especially when you don't have the rushing upside that Anthony Richardson has. I think that 9 was a little closer, like to having a good game. Like he had Jefferson had another drop. Aaron Jones, like the ball to the end zone to Aaron Jones, like it wasn't a bad ball. It was like just barely out of reach. Uh, and I do think that Aaron Jones turned the wrong way initially, and that cost the touchdown. And then Addison had the big drop as well. The interception that he threw towards Addison was horrific, though. So like he's all over the place. Like the Vikings receivers aren't helping JJ McCarthy on the few throws that he's making that are good. Like whenever you have a bad quarterback, the ones that come to you that are catchable, you need to catch. That's my opinion here. Like it's not like McCarthy's confidence is just going to get worse and worse and worse if these all pro receivers are dropping the balls that are actually getting to them, especially whenever he can't even get close on half the throws. Uh, like I'm not saying that it's all Jefferson and Addison's fault, but I do think that if they were catching the balls that they would normally catch, and part of that's probably how hard McCarthy throws it. I think McCarthy would have an easier time getting into like not being so amped up. And maybe that's the wrong take. I don't know. Wanted to tell you kudos on your Discord. It's one of the only ones in fantasy football. Yeah, I try to say something whenever people start getting that way. I like there's certain things I don't want to hear, and I say something whenever I see it, but it's also small. So there's only 35, 40 people in it. Uh, and with volume comes toxicity and everything. Uh, Hopefully we can keep it there. Yeah, Addison could have had an absolutely massive game. And that ball was thrown really, really hard, but it should have been caught. What's up, Lawsimo? How we doing? Mac Jones is taking JJ. Yeah, I mean, he absolutely could. Like, he really, really could. Uh, like, I don't know who it's going to be, but and with all that being said, McCarthy's footwork is horrific as well. So that's why the balls that he misses are so far off. He had a drop, but also really, yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. Like, because he missed him, like it was like he's throwing balls so inaccurate that like Jefferson and Addison, like they just like look up, like they're seeing a comet, like oh look at what's up in the sky. That's neat. Uh, Absolutely no chance that anything good comes from it, right? Like, oh, I hope Jalen Naylor's down there 40 more yards. Oh, like, uh, since that's the only person that JJ McCarthy seems to be able to hit, like, uh, I don't know. It's pretty funny. Um, but yeah, like Cole Kmet, like, who would have thought? Colston Loveland comes in, absolutely smashed versus the Bengals. While Cole Kmet was hurt, that doesn't mean anything to Ben Johnson. He still just wants to use both of these guys. Both of these guys are going to get 40 to 60 yards every week. Luther Burden, his role is increasing, and DJ Moore was on the field a lot, I believe. Yeah, 81%, but he wasn't getting targets. And this game was awesome by Caleb Williams, I thought, as well. Like, for being able to get out of sacks. Like, he was pressured an insane amount. Both of these quarterbacks were 32 attempts, 16 yards. 193 yards for Caleb, and McCarthy 150. Caleb was inaccurate on some throws, but he should have been sacked like 7 times. But he only ended up taking 2. He also had a little bit of running. Like, I don't know how he's getting out of these things. Like, but like, I do think that it like he was inaccurate as well, but he made enough plays. And once again, we seen and back to the Vikings. Once again, we've seen Aaron Jones absolutely cook Jordan Mason and snap. Jordan Mason only had 9 snaps to Aaron Jones 36. On those 9 snaps, he got 6 carries for 45 yards, though. But yeah, like that, it was actually a really fun game at the end of the game. But like the first 3 quarters were kind of bad, I thought. And that's all I have for that game. On to the Green Bay Packers, and so 55 minutes and 40 seconds for the Green Bay Packers and New York Giants. This game was the game that ruined my Sunday, to be honest with you. Green Bay 7-point favorites go to New York in an absolutely windy, like it was incredibly windy there. It didn't affect the quarterbacks, but it absolutely affected the kicking game. Green Bay does like they pushed the spread. It was 27-20. Josh Jacobs got hurt early in the game, came back, got hurt again, didn't come back. Wilson ended up getting the touchdown. If there was another couple goal line carries that Jacobs, I believe, might have got in where Wilson didn't. Jordan Love, like only 13 completions on 24 attempts. And part of that is because Romeo Doubs had 2 of the worst drops I've ever seen. Savion Williams, our boy, had a phenomenal contested catch down the field. Like that's the kind of thing I like. Savion Williams, like his contested catch rate was one of the things that drew me to him coming out of college. So it doesn't surprise me. Hopefully that means they use him a little more. But coming out of this game, like the 2 glaring things to me, there were 3 glaring things. Number 1, it's Christian Watson, right? Like he has continually every year when he's healthy just been on with Jordan Love. Like Jordan Love is like I don't know what his passer rating is when only throwing to Christian Watson for his career, but I'm going to assume it's very, very high. Number 2, Devin Singletary is going to get the goal line carries. Old motor out here. Looks like it's going to be the Seattle backfield situation. And number 3, Tyrone Tracy looked awesome from the 20s, like between the 20s. Tyrone Tracy had 88 yards on the ground, 4 receptions for 51 yards. He looked really explosive. He was hitting holes pretty hard. Like he looked very, very good. If you have some Tracy sitting around on best ball, I'm pretty bullish on Tyrone Tracy for the 4th quarter stuff. I think he's going to give a pretty reasonable floor. Like I know he misses week 14, but I think he's going to add a little bit of a floor. And if he breaks a big touchdown, he's going to be a spike guy, right? Like, and he has that profile in him to be able to break a big play. So those were the things that the takeaways I had from this game. It's wild that Isaiah Hodgins was called up from the practice squad and led the team in receptions and receiving yards. I believe he was called up from the practice squad, but like it kind of makes sense. He's a big body receiver. It was incredibly windy. I don't really fault like the Jordan Love 13 for 24 or the Jameis 19 for 29 in that wind. But I believe Hodgins did a lot of the shorter routes. I can't remember exactly, but I do think that happened. for all intents and purposes, the Packers did everything they could to try to lose this game. They continually just let the Giants stick around. The Giants had a chance to tie the game at the end of the game, but Jameis is Jameis and just threw the ball. Not like he threw the ball to the corner, but the wide receiver ran like a post. So the only guy in the frame was the DB. So that's like classic Jameis stuff there. I don't know who was to fault, but it's just kind of funny that kind of stuff always happens to Jameis Winston. Like Jackson Dart will be back probably next week. Hopefully, it's not 30-mile-an-hour winds. I'm actually so Josh Jacobs got reasonable news, I believe, on the injury stuff. Let me go look it up real quick. I think he's questionable to play this week. I haven't looked today. I had to go do doctor stuff today, so I got a little behind. So Josh Jacobs, underdog note, knee contusion. Injured reserve is not on the table, and he could play this week. I don't think that they should, but teams don't care what I think. But this is like the third time over the last few weeks that Jacobs has picked up some kind of an injury. I'm not scared to take him in the fourth quarter, but I do think Emmanuel Wilson or Eugene Wilson should, I moved him up to the 150s. He has proven that he is absolutely the handcuff to Josh Jacobs. And he is the one that actually spells Jacobs when Jacobs does come out of games as well. So I think he's worth a pick, even if Jacobs is healthy at that range. And he's one of the better contingent backs on the field. With that being said as well, it makes me like Jordan Love even more. Like if Josh Jacobs is going to be playing hurt still, I do think that they could turn into a little bit more of a Jordan Love team if Josh Jacobs can't go at 100% down the stretch. I think there's an okay chance that Jordan Love starts throwing the ball a little more. Now, you're not going to know who he's throwing to, so you just got to take all 7 receivers if you take Jordan Love. But other than that, I think it's a fine place to be on Jordan Love for that contest. Obviously, I personally want Jordan Love in 3 quarterback builds, though. I don't trust him to carry me. I kind of like Jordan Love in on a team with Jackson Dart or Drake May or Brock Purdy. Maybe rely on him for a single week and then have another really good guy up there to I think a 2 quarterback team like that could work. I'm probably still going to add on a free Kirk Cousins at the end or something. But that's my take on that game. Yeah, and Romeo Dobbs also Christian Watson is the guy, and Dobbs is almost for sure the other guy, right? Nothing changed. They drafted these guys in the 3rd round and in the 1st round. It doesn't matter. The one team that has never cared about draft capital is the Green Bay Packers. So we hopefully something good happens for Golden down the stretch. But at this point, all my Golden teams are dead. So I mean, I kind of just wanted to wait till next year. Call me crazy, but it doesn't even matter anymore, right? All right. On to the next game. We have the Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Pittsburgh in another game that was super windy. There were headlines after this game for reasons that we all know. Jamar Chase. It must be really windy out there. I normally can't hear anything through these headsets. I just heard a bunch of wind. So hopefully I don't lose power. If I lose power, I think we're just going to be done. Uh, so, but Jamar Chase always doing things like not necessarily to this degree, but he always feels like he's gonna do something to this degree. I'm assuming the Ravens fan would agree with me. Um, but Chase Brown looked awesome in this game. Like the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is not good. I I know they absolutely like dominated the the Colts a few weeks ago. I don't know what that was. Like I don't know. I know the Bengals only scored 14 was it 12 points. It was 12-34. But like they gave up gigantic plays in the run game. And I mean, I guess they did absolutely shut down the passing game, but they I guess their defense is fine. But like it was also with the wind and all that, like I don't know how much to really take away from that. Neither quarterback could really do a whole lot. Uh, Jamar Chase spitting on other players, like getting himself suspended for next week. Like things feel really bad in Cincinnati. Uh, Joe Burrow's going to come back to get a season-ending injury for next year. Uh, we know that's what's going to happen. Everyone but the Bengals know that that's what's going to happen. Uh, I kind of hope that he doesn't play the rest of the year. Just like, well, for my best ball, I actually have two of my better teams. Actually, I have Joe Burrow with Jamar Chase on them. So I would, for my best ball reasons, I wouldn't hate for Burrow to play. Uh, but I don't think he should. Um, but the Bengals, like, who'd scored 20, I think it was like 24 plus, and ever since Flacco entered the lineup, did not look very good on offense. They weren't very crisp. Jamar Chase got absolutely shut down. It did look like the wind played a gigantic factor more so than the defense, though. And the Pittsburgh Steelers ran pretty well. Jalen Warren, 10 carries, 62 yards, no touchdown, but he had a really awesome run on the left side of the line. Uh, the biggest story here is that Aaron Rodgers got hurt in the third quarter. He's been doing everything he can to not get hit all season, like just selling out and taking like sacks or throwing the ball away way before he gets hit. Uh, and the rumor is that it might be like a fracture on his non-throwing hand. If he's already bracing before he gets hit and he wasn't hurt, if he gets back out there and he is hurt, how much worse is that going to look? Um, and I think the Steelers were happy going into the season with Mason Rudolph if Rodgers didn't play. And stat wise, Rudolph, 16 attempts, 12 completions, 127, a touchdown. Rodgers, 15 for 9, 116, a touchdown. Basically the same exact stat line. Um, Kenneth Gainwell continues to absolutely eat in the receiving game. He, to me, him, like he's one of the better picks right now in the third quarter as well, or the fourth quarter. I had him moved down a little bit, but I moved him way back up today. Darnell Washington, like, had one of the most fun plays I've ever watched. Like it was just a fun play where he literally just shoved three guys out of the way. But I do wonder if they're gonna start using Darnell Washington over Pat Fryermuth and Jonnu Smith more. It feels like they're trying to make him the thing. Uh, it really feels like they are trying to make it him. and nobody else. But it'll be interesting to see with the Aaron Rodgers stuff. I haven't taken Mason Rudolph yet. I think he's fine to take. But I kind of think this game was decided by, I mean, it was the Bengals couldn't do anything. Like, other than the few big runs by Chase Brown, like 40 attempts, 23 completions. And it looked like a lot of it was like, and I don't know if they would say that, but to me, it looked like it was mostly affected by the wind. It does make you wonder going forward, like, especially this week, like the Bengals get, who do they play this week? The Patriots, and they play the Patriots without Jamar Chase. So you got T. Higgins against Christian Gonzalez, and Yoshi Voss is the 2. Like, I think that game could be really, really ugly. But what do I know, right? All right. We're going to the next game. It is the Houston Texans go to the Tennessee Titans. They win the game 16-13. Much, much closer game than most people believed it would be. Woody Marks, once again, gets the bulk of the work. Usage-wise, he had 66% of the snaps. Chubb had 26% of the snaps. Was there another running back in there? And Agumba Wale got 7% of the snaps. So Davis Mills, once again, understands. You feed Nico Collins. And he also understands, hey, that Jaden Higgins guy, he's pretty good. Maybe we should use that Jaden Higgins guy. You know, the other guy who's built like Nico Collins, can catch the ball, actually has awareness, like that guy. Maybe we should use that guy. And Dalton Schultz has kind of like been revitalized since this has happened as well. So I'm interested to see what happens whenever Stroud comes back in the offense to see if they continue to throw for nearly 300 yards every game or if their offense kind of reverts back to what it was. But I'm happy to see Nico Collins cooking again. Jaden Higgins finally getting used. Jaden Higgins had a touchdown 2 straight weeks before this. He had one to where he stepped out as he was reaching the ball over the goal line. The ball got placed at the 1 yard line, and that was the Nico touchdown. Hey, what's up, Quill? How we doing? Congratulations, by the way. You had a really good night. You moved well into second. And after looking at the other team, it's a reasonable chance that you end up in first after this week. If you have another good week, you could end up in first in that $2 mini over on Drafters. So Jalen Noel was not really used. Neither was Christian Kirk. Had 4 targets, but didn't do anything with them. And that's kind of been the theme lately. Hutchinson has been a better player than Kirk. I think that we're going to start seeing Higgins used a lot more down the stretch, and that they're going to try to feature these 3 and then mix in these 2 and kind of fade Kirk out. But I could be wrong. That's right. We got Cam Ward. So like Davis Mills, though, like he's weirdly ignited this passing offense. I just hope that they can, like, I know the Tennessee Titans aren't like a great defense or anything, but they did have the best pass rusher in the league. And like, I know you think it's Myles Garrett, but it's actually Justin, or is it Justin Simmons? what's his name? The Simmons, Jeffrey Simmons. Jeffrey Simmons has been rated as the number one pass win rate guy on PFF the entire season when he's been healthy. He was healthy this game. He did the same kind of stuff. It's just that they actually were getting the ball out fast enough for it to not be incredibly bad for him. So on to the Titans side. Like the Titans really fought in this game. They had a home game. They didn't have they didn't have very many yards. They had 58 yards on rushing, 194 yards passing. But Cam Ward, looked a little better, I thought. He started using his legs a little bit in this game. And that's something that if you've seen him in college, he would use his legs a little bit, and that keeps the intermediate routes open because the linebackers have to respect that, right? He's not been doing that in the pros. Part of that's because their offensive line has been really bad. But their offensive line against the Texans defense played a reasonable game. I expected it to be a lot worse. I'll tell you that. But the keys in this game, Gunnar Helm and Chig. Chig now, he still leads the team in receptions. But Gunnar Helm has become the favorite target pretty much. Tajay Spears, 5 receptions out of the backfield. I believe it was a 50-50 split. Let's look. 53 to 49. The thing is that they use Spears as the receiving back, and in trailing game scripts, which we expect them to have a lot of, Tajay Spears will be out there more. So I personally have Tajay Spears ranked a couple spots ahead of Pollard in those contests. And then DK picked up a chest injury in the game. I don't know how bad it's going to be. I'm assuming he'll be good by week 14 when the fourth quarter starts. I do not know what's going to happen this week, though. But overall, it wasn't really that entertaining of a game, in my opinion. I'm not going to go over this game too much. I feel bad for really even starting with that game. It was not great. We are moving on to San Francisco and Arizona. One of the teams I was the most wrong about in the offseason was San Francisco. What's up, Hartman? Hey, did you see my message, by the way? Hartman last week finished in the top. I think he finished 4th in the weekly winners over on the Spoiled Banana Society basketball stuff. So he got a payout over there if he hadn't noticed. I'm assuming the payout's already happened. But the San Francisco 49ers versus the Arizona Cardinals, 41-22. This game was out of control really early. Where is the first half summary? So in the first half, it was 25-10, I think. Yeah, 25-10. And the CMC got the easiest touchdown he'll ever get in his life. Opening kickoff, Sky Moore, or was it the opening kickoff? Yeah, it was opening kickoff. Sky Moore, Chiefs legend, goes 99 yards to the 1 yard line because Sky Moore can't do anything to the best of his ability. He had to make sure that he ruined everybody who doesn't have CMC, and he had to fall at the 1 yard line to give CMC a free 6 points. And that's how this game started. Then, shortly after that, like the Cardinals, I think, had a 3 and out, and the 49ers went right down the field. And on the second drive, there was a third down. Maybe that was a third drive, but there was a second CMC touchdown where he leaked out and nobody was close to him. Like, he walked into the end zone and nobody was within 10 yards of him. It was two of the easiest CMC touchdowns you have ever seen in your life. And then he tacked on a third one in garbage time at the end of the game. Now, CMC, once again, 3 touchdowns, 81 yards on the ground. One of his better rushing performances of the year, by the way. And 40 more yards in the air with 5 receptions. Brock Purdy came back, looked like he never left. His connection with George Kittle still absolutely phenomenal. George Kittle, 6 for 66 targets, 6 receptions, 67 yards, 2 touchdowns. Pearsall came back. He only had 1 catch for 0 yards, but he looked fine out there. They didn't really need to pass the ball a whole lot in this game because they, like, especially in the second half, they were just up the whole game. So on the Arizona side, Michael Wilson was on something. 18 targets, 15 receptions, 185 yards. And you might say that was all in garbage time. I mean, you would be true. You would be correct and incorrect. Like, a lot of it was in garbage time. But he had a bunch in the first half. Like, he had a 40-yard reception in the first half that was phenomenal. Like, at halftime, he had 69 yards and 5 receptions. And 25-10 is kind of a blowout, right? Like, I don't consider that garbage time yet, right? Like, you still have a half to go. Yes, you're down 15, but that's 2 scores, right? Like, teams lose 2-score games in 4 minutes left. They tagged me, and yeah, nice, very nice. I as far as my best ball stuff's going, I'm currently doing the best over on SBS. Honestly, Hartman and I both have a team, I think, in the top 20 overall points over there. 20-ish. I can bring that up if anybody cares later. And it looks like I'm currently going to advance a Hall of Fame and a jackpot team, so that feels good. But anyway, on to this. So Michael Wilson, he got 118 yards or whatever in garbage time, but he was just going up and fighting for the ball, getting in good body position and everything. I think that he was doing the things that we expected Marvin Harrison to be doing, right? So hopefully that continues for him. I don't have any of them in best ball. I made it an absolute point to not take any of them. But that was mostly a Kyler bet, not being able to get to the second guy. And because Kyler can't get, he couldn't get to Michael Wilson ever. It was first read and McBride, right? That's it. That's all he could ever do. If I would have thought there was a chance he got benched, I would have taken a little more Michael Wilson. I took a bunch of Zay Jones though. I thought Zay Jones was a better player. I was wrong. Um, like Zay Jones got hurt, like maybe he would have had a fine game, but he wasn't going to have 180 yards, right? Like Michael Wilson absolutely smashed this game. But so did Trey McBride. Tight end one, like 10 receptions, 115 yards, one touchdown. Tight end 1 and 2 on the week, both from this game. Awesome stuff for these two teams. So Zonovan Knight sees all of the first, second down carries. DeMarcado is their other back. He ended up getting hurt in this game, and whenever he got hurt, Michael Carter started seeing the field all the time because they were so far behind, and they don't like Bam Knight and Michael Carter didn't really start seeing snaps until the second half, very many. But DeMarcado got hurt early. He was mixing in pretty good with Knight. Knight actually had a 60-yard rushing touchdown call back on a holding call as well. But it was game script dependent on those two. And I think when Trey Benson comes back that he's going to end up having like 85% of the work. I don't even like him as a prospect, but I think that's what will happen. I don't think either one of these three have done enough to prove that they should really get the role going forward. I do think Jacoby Brissett and his NFL record-setting 47 completions, I think he starts for the Cardinals next year. I believe he's under contract next year. And if he does, I'm kind of in on that. They have some holes, but they could have much worse quarterback play than Jacoby Brissett. They could be playing somebody like Kyler Murray, just as a random example there. Completely random example. All right, so on to the next game, probably the game of the day. We have the Seattle Seahawks going to the LA Rams to take, this game was phenomenal. It ended up being Seattle 19, Rams 21. The Los Angeles Rams, were up 14-3, I think, at halftime. 14-9. I thought it was 14-3. Did they score right at the end of the half? Yeah. Vintage Sam Darnold performance. Yeah, so the Rams, their special teams basically won this game. If you just look at the stats here, Sam Darnold threw 4 picks. Sam Darnold threw 4 picks. The last time he played the Rams, he was in a Vikings uniform getting smashed in the playoffs, right? So this team has Sam Darnold's number. But let's look at the rushing on the Rams side. They've been splitting carries, but Kyren Williams had 12 attempts for 91 yards and a touchdown. And that touchdown, by the way, came on a Blake Corum drive. They've been splitting drives. Blake Corum, 8 attempts, 10 yards. They were 1 yard away. They gave Blake Corum 3 attempts. He got stoned all 3 times. And then they went for it on 4th down. And Kyren Williams got in very easily. And this was kind of a classic case of it looked like the drives that Kyren was in on, the blocking was just better. Kyren actually looked really sharp in this game. His cuts were a little cleaner than usual and all that stuff. But they're still in a timeshare, but it does feel like when something really matters, they are going to still lean towards Kyron, and that makes sense. Puka, 8 targets, 7 receptions, 75 yards. He had a very costly fumble as well, to set up one of the like a field goal. I believe it's a field goal for the Seahawks. The most important thing to note in this entire game, Kenneth Walker got a goal line carry. Kenneth Walker got a goal line carry, everybody. Like, do we have to rethink things? George Holani went in the randomly at like the 30-yard line twice on 1st and 10 plays. All the way back in. I was never out. I always believed. Yeah, so Kenneth Walker still only 51% of the snaps. Charbonnet 43. I've kind of been. Excuse me. I'm kind of in. I'm basically. I want to be at field with Walker, and I'm kind of out on Charbonnet. Charbonnet just doesn't look good when he does run. He hasn't looked good all year when he does run. He just vultures touchdowns, unlike Algier, who actually looks okay and vultures touchdowns. It's a completely different scenario. But Kenneth Walker, like, he looked very, very sharp in this game. And I believe that the rushing split was actually more in Charbonnet's favor, or the snap share was, until the last couple drives where they were behind and needing to pass the ball. Walker got all of those, and they were targeting like that 3 receptions, 3 for 44 yards. Most of that was on one drive. I know 2 of those catches was on one drive near the end of the game. The game they went down to get the touchdown, actually. I think it was that drive. But yeah, so for some reason, like, this game was wild because the Rams were up 21-19. They had a fourth down. So yeah, they had a 4th down. They went for it with 1:50 left. Seattle had one timeout. Is that right? No, that's not right. Yeah, that's right. They were up. I think they were up quite a bit at that point. And then Seattle ended up going down the field and scoring a touchdown after they missed the. Yeah, that's what happened. They missed the 2-point or the first down. Where is it? So I know it was a pass to Devontae Adams. But anyway, all I know, I can't remember the exact order, but the Rams punter at the end of the game, like near the end of the game, like coffin cornered, like the best coffin corner you could possibly have. The Seahawks get the ball back with under 2 minutes, starting at the 1. They go all the way down to get into field goal range, and they barely missed the extra point or the field goal. Or it was missed by a little bit, but it was a 61-yarder. The drive before that, I believe the Rams went for it on 4th down, missed it, and then that's where the Seattle Seahawks got the score to get it to 19. And all in all, the Seattle Seahawks defense absolutely shut down the Rams. Like, the Rams had a 34-yard run here. Other than that one huge run, like they didn't even have 200 yards total offense. And with that huge run, they had 250 yards total offense. And Devontae Adams, 8 targets, 1 reception for 1 yard and a touchdown. That right there, that's some Jerome Bettis shit right there, right? One for 1 yard and a touchdown. A Jerome Bettis special, as I like to call it. AJ Barner, absolutely cooking. 10 receptions, 70 yards. JSN, one of the best catches we've seen all year. 9 catches, 105 yards, no touchdowns. It was just a phenomenal game. If you haven't watched it and you have access to it, I would absolutely go watch it. The Rams just couldn't get anything going on offense. I'm very interested to see what happens when these two teams play in Seattle. I have not heard on Gray Zabel, the rookie tackle. Haven't heard information on his injury. Hopefully everything is good with that, though. All right, on to the next game. We got Baltimore Ravens going to Cleveland to do Ravens things. They end up winning the game 23-16. They put the absolute beat down on Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders after the concussion happened. So Dillon Gabriel gets concussed right around halftime, goes in at halftime, doesn't come out. Shedeur Sanders comes out. 4 completions, 16 attempts. After the game, Stefanski was asked, and he said, if Dillon Gabriel can play, he will start the game. So the Shedeur stuff looked really bad. Now, the Ravens just blitzed and blitzed and blitzed him. And he didn't look like he could read a blitz at all. And he took 2 sacks for 27 yards on those 16 dropbacks. Or 18 dropbacks, I guess. So that's something we talk about with Justin Fields. It's something I've been talking about CJ Stroud. You don't want to average a huge amount of yards per sack. Like 13 yards a sack is very bad. And somehow he found a way to complete 25% of his passes to the other team. Like that's an impressive feat as well. I mean, when you only have 4 completions, that's not too hard, right? Now, it was incredibly windy, right? Like I'm not optimistic as him as a prospect. I never was, but I will say it was very windy out there. It's not like you have elite receivers or O-line to help you. Dillon Gabriel was only 7 of 10 for 68 yards, but Gabriel at least like gets to his back foot and throws the ball, right? Like, I mean, that's much, much better than 4 of 16. But it's also somebody who didn't have a whole week to prepare, came in at halftime. Sometimes we see that work out really well. Sometimes, like the following week, if somebody has to play a second game, the second week they look way better when they actually get the first team reps. And Shedeur Sanders apparently has not had a single first team rep the entire offseason. Like starting from when he was drafted until now, he has not had a single rep with the first team. So he doesn't know how any of these players work, most likely. Like he probably has barely played with Jerry Jeudy and David Njoku, right? And only Fannin early on, you know? So I do think that, like, if that's the only time we ever see Shedeur, that it's a pretty good injustice, even though I don't think it'll get a ton better. I kind of hope that Gabriel can't go this week because I want to see Shador play again. And if it's up to Stefanski and Gabriel can go the rest of the season, I don't think we're going to see it again. And I do think that if he's told that he gets to play early and gets a full week, at least then you have a little bit more of a argument on if he's good or bad. So Cedric Tillman leads the team in receptions, 3 receptions, 52 yards. Judkins can't really get anything going again. He's played some pretty good run defenses lately. In the fourth quarter contest, he does not play good run defenses, and I feel pretty okay about that scenario. On the Ravens side, Derrick Henry, the second best runner on the Ravens for the day, because Mark Andrews had a 35-yard rush out of the tush push, and Mark Andrews was booking. Mark Andrews outran Carson Schlesinger, and Schlesinger is an absolute animal. I don't know what kind of uppers Mark Andrews did before that play, but I want some. Hook me up, Mark. What do you got? So the trend continues that Keaton Mitchell is starting to see the field a little more. I think they're going to use him a pretty good amount. Even if Derrick Henry gets 20 a game, I think we're going to see 5 to 10 Keaton Mitchell runs because Keaton Mitchell pops in a different way. Derrick Henry is better, right? But Keaton Mitchell definitely has his own positivity to him. And I really like Keaton Mitchell. And if Henry goes down, I think it's a clean swap to Keaton Mitchell and not Justice Hill. But Henry, 18 rushes, 103 yards, touchdown, really awesome. And Keaton, 5 yards carry as well. And this is against the best run D in the league. Pretty unquestioned that they're the best run D. I did too. I moved Andrews up as well. Andrews and Kelsey this week, we'll get to Kelsey. They both looked like they hit the fountain of youth or something. I don't know what tight end retreat they went to, but it worked. So Lamar, not a great passing day, but I do think a lot of that was probably the wind involved. Zay had an awesome catch, run after the catch stuff. That's what Zay does. Zay's an awesome player. Just too bad Lamar doesn't like to target wide receivers in the red zone. But things to note from this game. Tillman, I think, is a really, really viable late round pick. Fannin and Njoku, both awesome picks in that contest in the third or fourth quarter as well. Keaton Mitchell, very pickable in the last few rounds. Probably. Or he would just have less yards because he'd be used less because they're in the red zone more often. It would be one or the other. I'm not sure which it would be. But Isaiah Likely is probably a pretty good dart late as well. That is all I have on that show or on that game. Next, we go to the Kansas City Chiefs losing to the Denver Broncos at Broncos. It was 19-22, and Denver was the better team. Just flat out, Denver was the better team in this game. Bo Nix was really, really good. Hopkins pickable. I retract. Oh, wait. I said nothing. I said nothing. So RJ Harvey gets the bulk of the work. Like he gets 11. Like let's just go down to usage real quick and we'll look at that. RJ Harvey 61% of the snaps, and where's the other one? Bidet 13 and McLaughlin 13. So 26. Yeah, that's pretty close to 100%. Pat Bryant only 56%. That's like his lowest snap share. But they were letting him actually catch the ball. Like they gave him 6 targets, 5 receptions, 82 yards. He had the most receptions on the team. He caught 3 pivotal third downs and then a monster 48-yarder down the field. He did get hurt and come out of the game for a couple plays, but he went back in. He was healthy. Troy Franklin could have had just an absolute monster game. Bo Nix missed Franklin. So what I see, so these two teams play in Week 17. A lot of people watch this game and seeing all the field goals and said, my takeaway is that you don't want anything to do from that game. That is not all my takeaway from this. My takeaway is all of those field goals could have just been points, right? Like if the offenses were better in the red zone that day, this game could have just been 35-40. I don't think it's like incredibly likely, but I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle. I think that in the next game that they'll score half the field goals but double the touchdowns kind of thing. But they scored a ton of field goals, right? Like Kansas City only scored 2 touchdowns. Like I could see 4 touchdowns, 2 field goals, right? And the Broncos scored what? 1 touchdown total? And just a whole boatload of field goals? Like, so the 1 touchdown and 5 field goals, right? Like, they could easily score 4 touchdowns and 2 field goals too, right? Like, they were down there all the time. And the thing is both teams left big plays and touchdowns on the field. Bo Nix barely missed Franklin on an absolute, like, just barely missed him. He also missed there was another player he missed in the end zone, like in the end zone as well. There was a couple plays that like it felt like it could have been like the KC defender like barely tripped somebody up to stop him. Like it doesn't mean that exact thing's going to happen next week. I know KC and Denver both tackle really well, but the next time they play, I think it's going to be a shootout. I think that the atmosphere is going to be even like I think Kansas City's playoff hopes are going to be on the line. And I think the Broncos are going to be able to lock up the division in that game if they win that game. If they haven't already. But the Broncos will absolutely be in the running for the 1 overall seed. And Kansas City, I believe their playoff hopes will be on the line in Arrowhead in that game. I think both offenses are going to be really good. So Mahomes can't he missed 3 of 4 deep shots in this game. 2 of them were like surefire touchdowns, absolute surefire touchdowns. He also had a play like coming out of halftime. He had I think it was Rice. Rice lined up in the backfield. I think it was Rice. He lines up in the backfield, and they faked a handoff to him, and he like went up. It was like 3rd and 5. He went up and was wide open, like for a check down. And for some reason, Mahomes looked directly at him and then looked downfield and chucked it into double coverage. Like Rice had a guarantee, like basically a guaranteed first down. And Mahomes looked at him and then looked downfield to throw the deep ball that he wasn't successful on the whole game. In the past, Mahomes has been throwing that check down to move the chain to get the first down. For some reason, like he was making decisions like that in this game over and over again. I don't think that that happens again. I think that like he's not going to throw it in double coverage like that the next time they play. He's going to take the check down, get the chains moving, and if somebody's open deep, yes, he'll throw it deep and miss. Like at least make sure the guy's open before you throw it. But the Broncos just outplayed Kansas City in this game. Pat Bryant to me is an absolute target. He is absolutely the third option. He's a bigger option, I think, going forward than Evan Ingram, most likely. Cortland Sutton and Franklin are the 1 and the 2. And Mims didn't even get a target. Like, Mims only came in for a few plays. Like, he came in for 15 snaps, 24% of the plays, and he didn't even earn a target on those. I think that like he's going to be a gadget player the rest of the season. Brashard Smith, by the way, got 2 red zone passes. He like in the red zone twice. Kansas City passed the ball to Brashard Smith, so that is something to look forward to going forward as well. You don't win the game by having the most first downs. You don't win the game by throwing incompletions either. And that's what he was doing. Like that's what he did. He instead of like I think having more first downs is better than more incompletions. I'm going to guess that lines up. I'm not positive, but I'm going to guess that's how it works, right? Like, yeah. So as far as this game, like I think the Week 17 game actually could have juice. It could just be the same game, but I do think that there was like the defenses were really good in this game, and there was a lot of like ankle tackles that saved big plays, and a lot of plays that were just missed that were on the field. Like the Broncos got behind Kansas City like 3 times, and Nick's was really good today, or a couple days ago, but like when Mahomes missed the deep shots, he missed it by like a laughable amount. Nick's was like just barely missing the deep. Like it was hitting the receiver's hands, like the fingertips, right? Mahomes, like the receiver, it was basically like JJ McCarthy throwing any pass. So that is my take on that game. And like I think Brashard Smith getting the red zone usage stuff, I think that is pretty bullish as like a flyer. Like I think he goes at like 160, 165 in third quarters or fourth quarters. I think he's worth a couple picks there. I don't think I want to be super overweight on it, but I do think that it's notable that they are trying to use him in the red zone right now. All right, so we have 2 more games to go, and we have the Detroit Lions and the Philadelphia Eagles. Sunday Night Football, absolute smash game, 9-16. I placed a bet on AJ Brown for the narratives for first touchdown, and I've made 3 bets on first touchdown over the last 2 weeks. The earliest touchdown that has happened in any of those games was actually this game at 5 minutes and 55 seconds or something left in the second quarter. Like it is literally like the other 2. Like I bet first touchdown of the Kansas City Broncos game. They didn't score in the first half, right? Like there was no touchdown in the first half of that game. So first touchdown, if I bet it, expected to be a defensive game. That's what I need to do. I need to parlay my first touchdown with unders and just cook. just every time I bet a first touchdown, also bet the under as a parlay, and that has to be negative correlation, right? So just absolutely cook the books that way. That's the new plan. Yeah, the Goff outdoor narratives was obvious. Yeah, so Jared Goff, historically not good outdoors. Not only was he outdoors, but once again, wins. This was absolutely wins everywhere. Uh, you look at what happened in the game, like the Eagles knew that narrative and they used that narrative and they made sure they shut down the run and made Jared Goff beat them in the air. And guess what? Jared Goff did not beat them in the air. Jameson Williams, like Goff did have one good, like a couple good throws, like 14 completions, 37 attempts, one sack, two sacks, one touchdown, one interception. Just an awful, awful game. Jameson Williams absolutely cooked on a crosser. Like that's what he's always been good at. Are those in the middle of the field crossing routes, like the post routes? You get the ball in his hands with the ability to run. He can run really fast, and he's pretty good at making people miss in the open field. Jahmyr Gibbs in the second half, like they realized, I think, that Goff was having trouble with the wind, and they just started throwing everything really, really short. And to show you how bad the wind was and how bad Goff was with it, Amon-Ra, 12 targets, only 2 catches, 42 yards. Like, and that's because, like, for some reason, they weren't running Amon-Ra on the short routes very often. Like, Brock Wright had the same amount of catches as Amon-Ra St. Brown. That feels really bad. Yeah, they are. They're in the dome the rest of the season. Like that feels like the NFL cooking something up, doesn't it? But I mean, most of their division, like, because they played at Bears already, right? And then their whole division. No, the Packers. Have they played the Packers twice already? Or do they just have the Packers at home? I don't know. Oh yeah, at Bears week 18. Yeah, but we don't care about that for best ball. So the Eagles. We'll get to that, Sladen. We will get to that. Eagles 26 rushes for Saquon Barkley, 83 yards, 3.2 yards a carry. It wasn't Lane Johnson that got hurt this time, but it was their rookie tackle, Tate. Was it Tate Ratledge? Is that his? No, that was the Lions guy. The Lions guy, I think, got hurt too. But the Eagles, I think, had a lineman get hurt. No, it was just the Detroit guy. Jalen Hurts, 14 for 28. They tried to get A.J. Brown the ball a lot. 11 targets, 7 receptions. The first touchdown bet was the accurate bet. He got targeted 4 times. It was at least 3 times in the red zone, 2 times on the first drive. They wanted him to have that first touchdown. I feel good, even though that bet didn't hit. I feel pretty good about it. Devonta Smith only 5 targets, which it makes sense in a very, very windy game like this. Like Devonta Smith, kind of as a catch and run guy, needs really accurate balls. Like he can go up and like moss people and do stuff like that. But the best part of his game is being able to catch and run. AJ Brown is more go up and get it, throw the ball up in the air kind of guy, right? So it makes sense that with the game, like with the wind and the narrative, for A.J. Brown to be hyper-targeted. This game, all in all, was an absolute snooze fest, though. The Eagles' defense is just – they are awesome when fully out there, fully healthy. Hopefully we can get some teams. I'm excited for this Cowboys-Eagles game this week. I think the Cowboys offense will be able to push the Eagles offense quite a bit. I think the Eagles are going to have to actually score in this game. And I expect it to be a really, really fun game. I don't know what you guys think, but I expect that game to be really fun. And Barkley gets the – like, I'm moving Barkley up in my rankings for the fourth quarter. Barkley gets the Buffalo Bills in the last week, and the Bills can't stop anything. I can't express enough how much, like, the more I think about it, the more I'm just like, why don't I just put Saquon Barkley at 9? Just get 18% Barkley and try to get one of those teams to the finals, because I absolutely want if I get a team to the finals, I think I do want Barkley to be on it. Like the Eagles, Bills with Barkley, like that feels like a place that I would like to be. Like I might actually even cook up like a Saquon Josh Allen turn or something. I think I might do that a couple times. I've got a bunch of picks at the 11 hole. I could 11, 12, 10, 11, 12. I think I could do that a couple times and feel pretty good about it. The new late round pick I really like is Jahan Dotson. He showed up for a couple catches in multiple games in a row now. I'm not saying like he's an absolute smash, but taking him in the very last rounds feels pretty viable in second quarters or in the fourth quarters. And along with that, Brock Wright should be drafted in the fourth quarters as well. His ADP moved up quite a bit. Laporta on IR and all. So there is that. And on to the last game, we got the Dallas Cowboys and the Las Vegas Raiders on Monday Night Football. What a performance by George Pickens. This game was not close. It was never close. It was a horrific game from an entertainment perspective. But if you have a lot of the Cowboys, like some in the chat did, on a season-long best ball team, like Lamb got there, Pickens got there, Ferguson did enough for like a floor week. Prescott absolutely got there. Javonte Williams didn't really get there, but like he had a floor week. Like 90 yards is fine, right? Like if you had pieces of the Cowboys offense, you probably had a pretty good day. Pickens, 9 receptions, 144 yards, and a touchdown. That touchdown was just an absolute sick play. Like he catches the ball, runs past 2 guys, and then like stops on a dime and cuts back inside, loses no speed. Just the DB just like completely fell over. And like you could see like all hope was lost in his eyes as he was falling down. It was fantastic. Cooler says, going back to the last game, Goff did struggle, but credit to the Philly D-line. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like they absolutely like run blitzed. Like they just run. Like you're not going to run against us, and we're going to get pressure on you. Raiders, yeah, completely unpredictable before the season. The Raiders are going to be bad. Very light Raiders, very heavy Cowboys, very good run out. Yeah, that feels good if that was it. Ashton Genty is a terrible pick right now in all formats, but it's not his fault. it's the Raiders' offensive line. They are really, really bad. Brock Bowers still kind of got there in full PPR. He got 14 points. The leading rusher for the Raiders was Geno Smith with 14 yards. Ashton Jeanty, 6 carries, 7 yards. I talked about betting the under on Jeanty in yards in the second half. It was only set at 32, and I'm like, well, he could just break 1 and it's good. He got I think his yards went down in the second half. I think he had 9, and I think he lost. Did he lose 2 yards in the second half? Let's look. No, he lost 3 yards in the second half. On 4 carries. Right? Yeah. First half summary, 2 attempts, 10 yards. For the game, 4 carries for -3 yards in the second half. That is terrible. Trey Tucker, Geno just barely missed him on a touchdown, and then he hit him for a touchdown later. Trey Tucker, as an actual receiver, he's not as good as he is, right? Like, he's a fine receiver, but he's not a number 1. If they get a number 1 out there with Bowers and Tucker, if they have somebody, maybe like a Jacoby Myers or something, Trey Tucker's a much better play. But this game was the Cowboys defense looked really, really good against the worst offensive line in the league. We will see how good these defensive pieces that the Cowboys picked up look next week versus the Philadelphia Eagles. There will be a lot to notice in that game. This game, everything was kind of predictable. Cowboys were not going to be stopped. The question was Geno Smith, the Cowboys by far was the worst against quarterbacks in the NFL. The question was Geno Smith going to actually do one of his hero games or not? He did not. So the game was pretty lackluster. And if Geno Smith wasn't going to have a 3 or 4 touchdown game, this game was always going to be a complete blowout in the Cowboys' favor. Not really much else to say on that. As far as fourth quarter stuff goes, I think Tyler Lockett is a very draftable player in the last couple rounds. He signs back with Pete Carroll. He goes in the first 2 weeks, he gets used a reasonable amount. If he does this with a touchdown in any of the weeks, it's a very usable week. Not a good week, but a usable week, 10, 11 points, right? You don't want it to start, but it could be your floor for a week. And in the last round, Lockett had 6 targets last week, right? I do think that Lockett could end up having a 15-point week or something down the stretch. I don't think it's real likely, but I think there is an avenue that it happens, right? So I don't want 0 Lockett if he's going to be in the last round of the draft. That is one takeaway I have here. Other takeaway is they gave the touchdown to Ryan Flournoy, not Turpin. Turpin, I don't really think is I rated him, but I don't think he's super draftable in the fourth quarter contest. I ranked 230 players, 33, and he's ranked he ranked after 216, if that tells you anything. And I was a Bull, so I may have ranked Pat Bryant very high. What everybody in the chat, put a number. What ranking do you think I gave Pat Bryant for the fourth quarter? And then after the ranking you think I gave him, put the ranking you think he should be. Uh, and I will find it, and we will see what everybody like, what people think it should be, and what people think I should have, or what people think I have. Pepperoni says 160, and he has him at 180. All right. Any other guesses? Um, but I mean, he's definitely like he should definitely be in your top 215, right? Like his ADP is 201, or was whenever I downloaded the CSV. So um so what's up, no ball? Crazy thing is, all best ball drafts I did, the one where I went gigabrain hardcore data are all bad, but the ones I just drafted and keep it simple are advancing. Really? Like I I mean, you can look like all of my like basically my portfolio, all of my bad takes stayed healthy and all of my good takes got hurt. Like I think James Conner was a good take. Like the Joe Mixon stuff, like I was well overweight on Joe Mixon before we found out that like he was going to be on the NFI list. Uh like that just feels bad. Uh like I had like 15% Mixon at that point. And then um Scattaboo obviously but like and then like there was just bad takes as well mixed in there, like Matthew Golden, right? Like that's essentially like that's one of the worst picks on the board at this point. Like it feels bad, but it's true. Uh, but Peppertoni's pretty close. I have Pat Bryant 157, uh, and I think 180 is probably like 180 is a fair place. I want to end at like 40% though, because I also like the reason I moved him up. Like I would have had him at like 165, but I moved him up several spots because his breakout game did come against the team that he plays in week 17. Yeah, ADP doesn't matter, right? Like especially after like pick 130, it really doesn't matter. Like we're building teams, not ADPs. Like I and with that being said, like you don't want to take your first round, you don't want to go like Josh Downs, Devontae Adams or whatever, right? Like you want players within a couple rounds, you know, like ADP, like the ADP doesn't matter. Like that's true at a point, but like even with that, like if you're at the 1-2 turn and you like two players that go 17 to 20, just take them. It doesn't matter, right? Like I'm going to do a couple drafts where I flip the board in round one, haven't decided who. Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. Like I think I really want to like make sure I get some Saquon Josh Allen teams out there. That's my next goal is to make sure I get at the back end of the board, take some Saquon Josh Allen teams. I haven't seen anyone do it yet, but I think it's a really, really good place to be. What's up, Emo Cowboy? How we doing? We are just wrapping up. I'm about ready to go start my grill, and then draft some best ball. And I actually took Friday off this week. I'm probably going to actually stream Friday afternoon. I'll probably be doing fourth quarters on that show. Uh, I I'm going to be doing them the rest of the night once I'm done cooking for the week. But thanks for popping in. Um, But that's all I got. Hey, what's up, Al Boogie? How we doing? I'm assuming some other show just ended uh, with a couple people popping in. But yeah, we were just wrapping this show up. Steve couldn't make it today. He's been out with bronchitis, so I did it by myself. It's definitely more fun with somebody to bounce ideas off of. That is for sure. I look forward to having him back next week. Nice. I did one dog bowl. Oh, that reminds me. Let's go to Underdog. Uh, I did one dog bowl. Tell me what you think. I picked at the the 9, I think. I pulled Travion Henderson up. I wanted to go Travion Quinshawn, but Jalen Hurts fell to me. Devonta Smith fell all the way back to the pick right before me, and he got taken. So I took Jalen Warren, and then and then Dallas Goedert made it all the way back to the pick before me again. So both of my two possible stacks literally fell to the pick right before me. So I just took a skinny stack and then Watson plus Addison as a little game correlation stack there at the end. So what's up, Rusty? What about when the influencers make fun of you and call you bad when you take 2, 3? I'm the influencer who'll do that sometimes. Uh, I didn't do it all the time, but I prefer. I actually did some Nico Collins. I did a couple Nico Collins at like 2 or 3 drafts. I did a couple of drafts where I took BTJ up there. Those were bad, but I did this as well. I had a couple drafts to where I did like Jonathan Taylor plus Trey McBride or something. Like it wasn't necessarily those two, but like I did things like that. If it was that I decided to do, like you absolutely cooked, right? Like if you got the right 2 players, you're very, very, very rare. And then you get like there were some JT McBride teams out there because McBride fell to the third a little bit, but you just get an entire different portfolio on that side, right? Like the Liam Murphy stuff, like pulling people around the board is probably pretty sharp. Like as long as you don't make your whole portfolio like I don't think you want your whole portfolio to be that, but I do think you want some of it in there. The way to do it is to take a late first and the early first. Yeah, like I was doing. So I was making it the point to bring BTJ up to like pick 4 or 5 to get Jonathan Taylor with him because Jonathan Taylor was like almost always there at like pick 16, 17, 18, right? And if you brought BTJ up, you could then get the game stack with Jonathan Taylor. So I whenever JT started falling there late, because remember that time period where Anthony Richardson was going to be the starter and Jonathan Taylor started falling a little bit. I did it in that time frame a little bit to where I took BT and I'm not like it didn't work because BTJ sucks, but like the theory was there and yeah, I like doing that a little bit. But the Nico Collins pulling him all the way up to the early board as well felt pretty good. But anyway, I'm going to head out, everybody. I will not be doing a show tomorrow. I work tomorrow, or I will be doing the show with Hartman on his channel late at night. But my Wednesday show will be pushed to Friday, and Friday I'm probably going to do like I'm probably just going to do a whole bunch of fourth quarters on stream. I don't know when I'm going to start to stream. I'll probably start streaming pretty early, and I'll probably go for several hours because I'm not a playoff best ball guy. So I don't like the people who are going to watch the fourth quarter stuff aren't going to care if I'm on during Davis's time. And I'm sure Davis will be doing a bunch of playoff best ball or daily stuff. I'll probably just do a bunch of fourth quarters and other stuff. So peace out, everybody. Have a great night. Hope to see all of you guys win. Peace.